My name is Roy James, and I have been in, I have to admit that I have an addiction. And these gentlemen to my right are the reason why I have an addiction.
Sorry.
I hope you can bear that responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a long-time comic book collector, reader, purveyor, promoter, whatever. I have in front of me 3 dossiers, one for each of these gentlemen that I brought myself up to snuff. And after the panel is finished, I'm going to turn these dossiers over to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and to the FBI. I hope you guys are satisfied. Okay. On my far right, I have David Finch, who happens to be a neighbor of mine in LaSalle. Next to him is Jason Fabok. Fabok, is it A? Long A, sir?
Yeah.
Fabok. And Yanick Paquette. Now, to get the thing rolling, first of all, all 3 of these gentlemen are Canadians. 2 of them are from Essex County. One of them is from Harrow, one is from LaSalle. And the man to my immediate right, I believe, is from Quebec.
Yeah.
The province of Quebec.
Province of Quebec and the city of Montreal.
City of Montreal. So we have 3 fine Canadians here, and they're going to talk about the industry and their own personal involvement in the industry. I'm going to start with David Finch, because I have a personal interest. Part of it is that, I think it's about 6 years ago, I went to your house with a tall, red-headed young man by the name of Keith Ashton. And Keith was very, very interested in what David was doing. And from what I understand, David is taking a little bit under your wing, and he has become a penciler, a background penciler for you, of sorts.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's been doing reasonably well. He's really coming
Can
along.
you hear her out there?
Can you hear me at all?
Okay, good, go.
Speak really loud.
He introduced me to Keith Ashton quite a few years, 6 years ago, and yeah, he's helped me with some backgrounds, and just his own work is really coming along. He's doing very, very well, and it's always incredibly gratifying to be able to help another artist develop their craft.
So David is not only an artist, he is a mentor, right? He is very, very, very kind in sharing his expertise with young, upcoming artists, and I know that for a fact. Take pride in that, sir.
I really enjoy doing it. It's very, very satisfying. It's gratifying, and it's so nice to be able to put a comic book out and come to a convention like this and see the response and see that people like what we do. But it's also really nice to be able to feel like I can help somebody else have that.
Perhaps you could each take a moment to talk about yourselves. I know artists like to talk about themselves. And what you're currently doing, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about the current state of the industry. One of which shocked me a while back when I learned that inkers are beginning to be losing their jobs. You can throw that in your conversation.
Okay, I guess I'll start. I'm David Finch, and I've been drawing comics now for 19 years, so I feel very fortunate. I love my job. I've worked at Marvel for about 9 years. I did X-Men and Avengers and Moon Knight, which I'm sure none of you have heard of, but I loved it, and a few other things. And I've been at DC now for 4 years almost, and I drew Batman for about 3 years, and now I'm doing a book called Forever Evil, which is all villains, so that's a blast. And you were just saying that the inkers are starting to be phased out. Well, that's true, because some pencilers are actually just working directly from their pencils and it's just being darkened. But actually more and more pencilers are working on a Syndicate and everything's being done on the computer. I did that for just about a year, and I am absolutely certain that I'll be going back to that at some point. It's just, I found that I zoom into the point where nobody could ever see it, and I can't stop myself. I get so obsessive, and it was taking me almost twice as long to draw pages on the computer than it was on paper. So it was just crazy, but I'll figure it out one day.
You were not doing it right, man.
I know, but
My name is Jason Fabok.
I've been working now in the industry for about 4 years, and I've worked for DC on books like Detective Comics for the last year and a half. I worked with Dave on Batman the Dark Knight, and I'm currently working on a new Batman series coming out in the spring called Batman Eternal. And talking about the inkers, I'm one of the reasons why inkers are losing their jobs, because I'm going all digital with my work. I've been doing it for the last 2 years, and it just sped up my work so exponentially that I just haven't looked back. I find I have more time to spend with my family and things like that. So I really like the digital process. I have control over the final product of my line work, and so that's the way I've chosen to go.
Jason, you used a phrase there a moment ago that intrigues me. You said, I work with David. It's my understanding, my limited experience, that comic book production is a collaborative experience. It involves a great number of people to put the product on the stand. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I was one of the students that Dave mentored. I sent my work to him. I just wanted some, a little bit of critique and help on my work, and he ended up taking the time to teach me and help me get a job. And he also helped me get one of my biggest breaks, which was to do 2 issues of his Dark Knight series. And because of that, I ended up getting more work at DC and signing with them. So, he wrote those issues, I drew them, and to me that was one of the most, my most proud moments of my career, because I got to work with a guy who's been my mentor and a great friend, and who's really helped me in my career get to the point where I'm at. So,
Thank you.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm Yanick Paquette. I've been around for, everybody's like dropping the number, I don't know, maybe, I gotta say 17 years maybe. And yeah, I work for Marvel, DC, ABC, Vertigo, all over the place. I've never worked for Dark Horse for some reason. And I've done, in recent years, let's say, because I've done a lot of stuff. I did Batman Inc. and Swamp Thing, which is more recently. And these days I'm working on a graphic novel with Brent Larson, which is called Wonder Woman Earth 1, which is a monster that is need to be slain, because it's 120 pages of bizarre things. So I will survive it, but yeah. And to go back to that, that anchor thing. Let's make it a leitmotif for our 3 talk on this. But yeah, to me, even beyond the fact that it's the digital world that now opens the possibility of having no anchor to interact with our work, I think the reality of comic today is very different than what it was in the 80s and before that, where the production has to be so fast that having 2 people doing stuff. And I remember when I was working on Wonder Woman years ago, because I've also did a monthly Wonder Woman run. Bob McLeod, which was my anchor, would send me pencils of Sal Buscema, which was like an idea of a page, really. Like almost nothing of the rendering that you might expect as part of the penciler style was there. It was just structure, some indication for background, and then an inker was needed. As the art progressed and as the need for more peculiar style and the time allowed to produce these comics developed through the years, you get artists that just felt like they want more control to be able to push the limit further. And after Jim Lee and Scott Williams, that process became that, well, the style is also the rendering to a certain extent, and today they give you the time to push forward. Mick Gray and G.H. Williams were a great team. I mean, they were doing great Prometheus stuff together, but to go even further, G.H. Williams had to take the full control. And a lot of people, and it's no digital are being involved in this. And a lot of artists, because now they have the time to do it, jump into doing it entirely by themselves, which I did.
Very good. A few moments ago, before you came up here, I actually watched you talked to a young artist about his background. We were talking about windows and bricks and all that kind of stuff. And that my former student working with David over there, I listened to him talk about the advice that you give him. I'd like to ask you how it's in your work with the Swamp Thing. You weren't so much dealing with windows and bricks, you were dealing with foliage. Is that a whole new ballgame for you? Or how did you develop that skill?
Yeah, well, foliage or building, I mean, it's all about research. If you want to like make a set dressing that looks convincing and is original and just is inspiring to draw and to look at, you got to do research, which I did when I do the cities or you know, foliage. But in my particular case, I have a background in biology, which really never served any purposes in my regular life, except on the Swamp Thing, where I could really indulge into cellular structure and like beetles that live in the water. And yeah, but just my sheer joy of doing something else than just buildings, which I also enjoy, but just drawing something different for a change is just refreshing enough for me that it sparked all my enthusiasm for art.
Great, great. David, as I understand it, background work is very much at the heart of your work. You feel that's incredibly important. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, really the backgrounds are the environment that your characters are existing in, and without it, you end up with, there are some artists that really pull off, like Jay Lee pulls off these beautiful kind of dreamy things, and I wish I could do that. I can see he puts so much work into his stuff. I don't want to make it sound like I'm killing myself here, but yeah, I really like to have a really well realized background, and generally even panels where I close in on a face or something, I still try to have the background in there because it makes me feel like I'm drawing real characters and a real environment, and you know, I'm able to kind of construct my own little kind of world.
So it has to be accurate and authentic for the background. You can't fake it?
I wouldn't say accurate and authentic. It can be, and I definitely think, I mean, better backgrounds come from research for sure. But actually, a lot of my backgrounds I think come from artists that I really like too. I have a really bad habit of stealing other ideas. If I really like how they do something, I'll take that. You know, I really love like a nice stylized background. So it really depends on what it is, and it can be a mixture.
Can I turn to
just adding a little detail about that background stuff. I grown up reading mostly European comics, and these guys, they have 44 pages to do in a year. So they travel where they're gonna draw. They draw Venice, they go there and spend like a month and take photos, and it shows. I mean, the background quality is so solid, and yeah, I've always thought that was the way to do it. And of course, in the American comics of the '80s, where they kind of, if possible, not do a background at all because the deadline. But now, yeah, things have changed. People spend the time to do that research, and it makes this stuff a lot richer.
Jason, anything you want to add to that?
To Mike, come on. Come on, double mic, double mic.
I feel like the president.
So double up on the volume.
Yeah, I also agree with these guys on the background thing. I really try to push that a lot. Having a background in 3D animation and stuff, I took the 3D course at St. Clair. I've learned how to like build things really quickly in 3D. So I actually build like 3D sets and things in my computer that I can then use as my reference. And I can get the shot exactly how I want it, and quickly get the perspective and everything down really fast. And so I'm using some of that technology to my advantage to keep me on deadline.
Interesting. Are you using SketchUp?
No, I use Maya.
Maya for like art structure.
Yeah, like I can build things pretty quick, and I've amassed a whole bunch of 3D models and things like that.
So you tell the computer what you want, and it doesn't?
Yeah, I use a lot of computer stuff, and it allows me to get things done quicker and on time. So,
can I turn the conversation towards anatomy? And I know for all three of you that's a pretty favorite thing. yours with Swamp Thing, and you two gentlemen particularly with the Batman. Am I off base if I say that the anatomy is taken to the extreme in terms of musculature and so forth? What do you think? It's not a criticism, by the way. It's an observation.
It is. It absolutely is. It really depends on the artist. Some artists are more subtle, and there are artists that do beautiful gestures, and their work can be beautiful that way. For me, I just like the big, huge guys with hands bigger than their heads, and veins all over the place. And really, to me, a comic book is like it's a power fantasy, and at its core, the kind of comic that I really like, it's a real power fantasy. Everybody wants to be that big, huge, unstoppable, powerful guy, and none of us are in our real life when we face whatever it is that we face. So just to be able to open a comic book and have it be about a big, huge guy that just can't be stopped.
So how important is that to the drama of the story?
I think it's incredibly important. That's anatomy, but it's also lighting, and it's the shot selection. If you want a character to look more imposing, you look up at them, and if you want them to look like they're being intimidated, you look down. So you make choices like that. But yeah, I know for me, I really like a realistic anatomy in a way, but stylized. Really, I guess I like everything kind of.
It's got to be exaggerated.
Exaggerated.
I guess I'm a bit more realistic than he is too, in terms of anatomy. Of course, something like Swamp Thing is just all over the place. It's ridiculous and it's absurd. But I think that the true secret is the light, and that we have all of this in common. My first graphic love was Bernie Wrightson, and then later on David Nolan for his understanding of double light sources and how this can create drama. I'm not doing very muscular guy at all, but by defining them to solid lighting, it feels real. It feels like solid with weight and stuff.
Yeah, I'd agree with you about the whole thing about using lighting to your advantage. And with Batman, the best part is that you can use lots of black and lots of white, and you can use the contrast, and that works as a very, very powerful tool. You can have the buildings all shadowy, and yet the light source that's hitting Batman is just enough. It draws your eye to that,
and thus the drama.
Works for the composition and everything like that. And I've always been attracted to that kind of artwork, always, and so that's the kind of artwork I want to draw. And sometimes I make a joke, like when I draw a page, if it's all supposed to be in a bright room and stuff like that, I just feel like I didn't really do my job. Like there's no shadows, there's no nothing, and I never like those pages. My favorite pages are the ones that I get as much black as possible on the page. So
after the Swamp Thing stuff, which was super dark with monsters rotting in your face and stuff like that. I wanted the Wonder Woman stuff to be as airy as possible, almost as a response. I was like, as these two huge projects would work as a diptych. So I wanted to be as elegant, airy, almost Manara-like in a way, which just purity. It's art because I'm always attracted to like rendering the stuff, and I tried not to because it would make the stuff less elegant and less sensual.
Might I just add that you three gentlemen really do seem to enjoy what you're doing, and you bring that joy to your art, don't you?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I feel like I can speak for all three of us when I say, I love it. We draw pictures all day, and it's so fulfilling. It's a release for me. I just feel lucky that I've been able to do it for so long, and you never know. I mean, comics, we could all stop reading them tomorrow, and we could have to get real jobs, but for now,
and you made a good life for your family. I've been to your home, right?
I'm sorry?
Made a good life. Provided a good life for you and your family.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's...
Well, well, the interesting thing is when you're younger and you tell your parents you want to be an artist or something, everybody immediately thinks you're going to be a starving artist. And I mean, there's that could happen, but we've been lucky enough to have some success, and you can, if somebody in your family wants to be an artist, push them forward, because you can make a very good living doing something that's a lot of fun and doesn't feel like work.
David, if I could return to anatomy for a second. I recall years ago when Moon Knight first appeared on the scene. He was a relatively, quote, normal human being, anatomy-wise. When you picked it up, you enhanced him quite a bit, did you not?
Yeah, well, Moon Knight originally was drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz, and he had much more of he was much thinner and more of a life kind of character, and I really like Stephen Platt's Moon Knight, you know, and it was like over the top, crazy, like a big, huge character, and that's actually more kind of what I had in mind. And then the writer mentioned these spikes that he has on his fingers, and that just to me went with like just a bruiser. So I just made him big, and it's just what I enjoy more. And
For sure.
I had the advantage that there really wasn't a Moon Knight book out there, so I didn't really have to compare it to anything, so I kind of could do whatever I wanted, you know, which was nice. I got a bit of hate mail, but...
So you have a lot of freedom in interpreting, right?
With Moon Knight, I've had a lot of freedom. It's not always that way, so whenever I get that, it's...
You ever have any fights with editors?
Fights with editors?
Anybody?
Sure, yeah.
None that you're going to admit, right?
I never did. No, that's not true. I never fights though, but argumentation I did with Mike Martz. I love Mark, I love him, but we were working on years ago when he was at Marvel. He was my editor on Gambit, but later on he was my editor on the Civil War X-Men, and I needed to do these very complex Sentinel, and I thought it was a bad idea. I'm always hard for stuff I think there are artistically wrong, like, or there's stuff that I thought just make no sense. But and usually it's nothing personal. Like Mike and I are, you know, we work well together anyway. But yeah, it's the only one. Everybody else is like super. It's just like it's not his fault, really.
There you go. I'm going to open it up to the audience now. If any of you have any questions. Come forward, you got to talk into my mic if you have a question for these three fine gentlemen. Anybody with a question that you care to ask? Or if I ask all the questions, you're going to ask? It's up to you. Okay, well listen, time is ready. It is almost 3 o'clock. And gentlemen, I'll give you your final say, your final comments.
Vote for me. You need change. It's time for change, and to put the priority where it counts.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you for everybody for coming out. This shows that Windsor has a good comic book community that supports the books. You can see that from all the comic book stores we have here in Windsor, and you know, if you keep supporting this show, I'm sure Mike will keep bringing in different guests every year, and just make it a big success down the road. And I'm sure, you know, Dave and I were thankful for the support that we get from people here in Windsor and Essex County, and you know, we're thankful for that for sure.
Yeah, it makes me proud to be a local boy for sure. This is so great to see so many people here, and bigger than last year, and next year will be bigger than this year, I'm sure. So thank you everybody for coming.
Okay, one last thought. Where do you think the industry is going? Is it reached the epitome, or is there someplace yet that it's going to go that we don't even know?
All right. I spent a lot of time thinking about these things, so there we go. No, I think it's in a transition. As I look, you know, as I look at the way the independent comic is getting speed now by offering products that are very different, you know. Even if we're not talking about Walking Dead, for instance, but like Saga, Chew, they're all offering some other option than only superhero stuff, and they are reaching a market which was until now untapped. And as I look at these numbers, they grow. I mean, they're selling more copy, and everybody here at the table, if we put up comics, we know that the next issue will sell a little bit less. If we're doing our job well, it will fall slowly. If we really are bad, it's gonna just drop. But it's never rise. And there is something a bit depressing about that. But at the same time, you got the royalties checks for the digital format, DC is doubling every year its digital output. So this is like a good thing. But also, yeah, I believe the formats are changing. I'm doing the Wonder Woman one. It's an art cover, but a lot of that we're not doing that kind of project before. And I think it's much more appropriate to push a product which are like very artistically thought about as a piece of art first, and not a magazine to support the ad, which come with all sort of concession about, oh, we need to fill it because this thing has absolutely to come out. I think if we go and create a product which is more artsy and also offering much more diversity, we might survive, and also other platforms like the iPad. So, and all of these elements are coming now to change the game a lot.
So the opportunities are there to express new form.
But yeah, I believe in the format, right? I believe in comics and in Bayday. I believe in that kind of art form, telling a story through fixed moment on a page. And no, we can do stuff with our art that movies, books, dance, or play can't do. They can't do what they don't have the same tools. So we are justified into doing that form of expression because it is something unique. Now we just need to talk about all sorts of things that might reach all sorts of individuals using this language that we have. I mean, if we only write books about birds, I mean, it's not cool for books in general. We need books about all sorts of things.
And you're all going to become influenced by all these new movements and ideas, aren't you?
Yeah, well, some people are born to do superhero stuff, or it's native. Some people explore or push the limit or pull the rug in a different direction, starting from superheroes, so other things are. And I just see more diversity now, and it fills me with joy. That's right.
Thank you. Gentlemen, anything you wish to add?
I guess the only thing I would add is just that with the movies doing so well and superheroes just becoming so mainstream in a way that they never were before, obviously it's doing so well for the shows. It's good for all of us. I feel like our sales are better right now than they were a couple of years ago, but ultimately it's a challenge to get people to read anything, not just comic books. And I don't think that's getting any better anytime soon. So I just, I love doing this, and I just hope we can keep doing it.
And that comes through. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank you three gentlemen for your kind comments this afternoon, and your fans await you at the table. And ladies and gentlemen, let a round of applause. Hey. Thank you.